will be, as I said, quite a few disappointed passengers by the end of the day. Now, for that reason, airport managers are recommending that passengers call airlines before coming out to the airport, not just here, but across the country. We spoke with some of the flight crews and some of the passengers who have been stranded here for 2 days. They all say they're looking forward to getting home, and for some of them, looking forward to get back to work.
It's hard. We've all been together. We've stuck together, and the company's been there for us and made sure that we're okay. But we've all been there for each other because this is what we have right now.
I want to go home back to Orlando. So I heard that there was a flight out sooner than 10:10 tonight, so I'm here to do that.
Has the delay discouraged you, made you angry?
It makes me not want to fly again.
Despite the delays, a remarkable theme we're hearing from many of the passengers is that they're not feeling inconvenienced. They're not angry at the delays. They are angry at what happened in New York and in Washington, D.C., and they understand that the delays here were for their own safety. So Hartsfield is open, but right now, very few planes going in and out, and at this point, it looks like it could be several days before the airlines are operating again at full capacity. I'm Bonnie Anderson, CNN, reporting live. Back to you, Aaron.
Bonnie, thank you. There's so many changes that have to be implemented in so many different places. Some of them involve manpower, getting people that used to be at gates up to the front. The air traffic situation is just going to be very difficult and very slow, even when it gets back online, and you need, if you're going to fly, to allow a lot of extra time. Someone told me yesterday, Mike Miller, I think, of Aviation Daily, said allow 2 hours, even for a domestic flight. At the Pentagon, Christy Babcock joins us. Ms. Babcock is with a friend who is trying to find her husband, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Tell me the circumstances. Lay out the circumstances.
Well, my best friend's husband is in there, and her husband also happens to be my husband's best friend of 15 years. So we've just been waiting.
And how long have you and she been there waiting?
We've been here outside of the Pentagon since 1 o'clock yesterday morning.
You've been there since 1 o'clock yesterday morning?
Yes.
And are there facilities to support you, to take care of you, to feed you, to get you water, to get you counseling, that sort of thing?
Well, as far as bathrooms, the media has been really great getting us into the only bathroom here, which is at the gas station. And as far as water and food, again, the media has been wonderful. They've been giving us food, water. We even had some lady walk up to us today and give us a cooler full of food, a 6-pack of water, some muffins, homemade muffins. Counseling, the Red Cross has been by a lot. They have come by, and we know them on a first-name basis now, and they've been talking with my friend Tracy, and they've just been listening to her and trying to help her get through this while we wait.
And Ms. Babcock, are there a lot of other Tracys there, a lot of other people who have gathered there as the search for their loved ones goes on?
Well, there are people gathered. There's a hotel in the area where all of the families are supposed to be gathering. When we got to that hotel Tuesday night, they said that nothing was going to be happening until about 9, 10 o'clock that next morning, and there was no way we could wait. My husband and I lived in this area. We knew some back ways to get to the Pentagon, and so we were able to get into where we're not supposed to be, which is with the media. And the media have fought to keep us here, and the police have been wonderful, and they've allowed us, given us special permission to stay.
You have to be careful. You're going to give us a good name here. Have people there, have they given up hope, or is there still hope?
Some people have given up hope. I mean, take a look at the building. It doesn't look too hopeful. But, you know, Oklahoma City, that building was completely destroyed on one side, and there were still people being pulled out alive. We definitely have hope. And a lot of the firefighters who have been in there have come out saying it's always possible. You just never know.
And you've been there a long time, since 1 o'clock yesterday morning. How has your mood changed? How has your friend's mood changed? Go ahead.
Well, Tracy is a rock. She's a very strong individual. And of course there's been ups and downs where, you know, you hear something or you hear about a body that's been pulled out and it's like, what if that's Eddie? That kind of thing. And of course there's times when we've cried, but we believe in God and we believe in miracles, and that's what we're holding out for.
Well, a miracle would be helpful. Christy, thank you for spending some time with us today. Our thoughts are with you and Tracy and all of the others who have gathered there. I'm reluctant to use the term good news here. There was some better news out of the Pentagon. It is now believed the death toll will be significantly lower than some of the early reports, which had it at 800. It's now approaching 200, but it does seem that it will be considerably lower than people originally feared. Back to Lower Manhattan, CNN's Martin Savage has more on the activities there. Marty?
Aaron, we're talking about the rescue of the firefighters that was pulled off earlier today. Obviously, the very good news amidst very bad news that is still being found out with the recovery effort that is going on. I'm joined by Jody Farabella. He is a police officer from Millville, New Jersey, and you were down there at the time when these firefighters were found. Tell us what was going on and what the reaction was.
Well, we arrived sometime around 12 o'clock last night, and there was just a numerous amount of people. When we finally got to go ahead to go do our searches, we were in there with buckets and shovels, and it's just a slow process, and some of the things we found in there was kind of depressing, but we kept on looking, trying to find some survivors.
And then you did?
Yeah, we, as we were digging, everybody started screaming that a fireman was saved, and it was just unbelievable. Everybody started cheering, and it's just a chain reaction. USA, USA. It's just unbelievable. That's what we were there for. And it was just a great feeling.
And what does that do for the teams that are so hard at work there trying to find survivors?
I think everybody just started working harder, and people were screaming, that's one, let's go for two. And it was just, everybody was going crazy at that point.
How long have you been at it today?
I've been at it for about 10 hours.
You come back tomorrow?
I'm hoping so.
Jody Farabella, who is a police officer with the Millville Police Department, which is located in New Jersey, is one of thousands and thousands of volunteers that have come down to try to find someone, and he did. Aaron, back to you.
Hi, Aaron.
Everyone was going crazy, he said, when they found them. Imagine the exhilaration, the elation that these men and women who have been down there now since early Tuesday must feel. They haven't had many moments like it, but what they must feel when they finally pull someone out of there alive and well. It is hard to imagine the joy they must feel and the energy it must give them to keep on working. Our senior White House correspondent, John King, joins us now at the White House. John?
Hello, Aaron. I want to bring you first a little breaking news development. A lot going on here in Washington, of course, both in public and in private, as the administration ponders a potential military response to these terrorist strikes. We know the administration putting pressure on the government of Pakistan to help. Pakistan, a neighbor of Afghanistan. Secretary of State Colin Powell spoke to the Pakistani President, General Musharraf, earlier today, asking for his cooperation as the United States tries to investigate this. And I have just received a statement from the President of Pakistan, again, General Musharraf, saying that Pakistan, quote, committing all of its resources in an effort coordinated with the United States to locate and punish those involved in these horrific acts. So a statement from the President of Pakistan just provided to us here at CNN, this after a 10-minute conversation with the Secretary of State, other diplomatic efforts by the Bush administration to win Pakistani cooperation in this investigation, significant because Pakistan, among the nations that recognizes the Taliban as the government of Afghanistan, the network of suspected terrorist Osama bin Laden, who Secretary Powell earlier today named as the #1 suspect in these attacks, obviously located in Afghanistan. So as the president ponders potential military responses and tries to build an international coalition not only to deal with this terrorist act but others, at least early signs of some cooperation from the government of Pakistan. Now that issue came up earlier today when the president was in the Oval Office. He spoke to reporters after a telephone call to the governor of New York and the mayor of New York to touch base on the research and recovery efforts. Mr. Bush saying at that time that they were receiving reassuring words from the government of Pakistan, but that he wanted to see in the days ahead just how that developed. Mr. Bush in that conversation also talking about this horrific act, calling it the first war of the 21st century, and Mr. Bush saying the United States was preparing a response.
Make no mistake about it, my resolve is steady and strong about winning this war that has been declared on America. It's a new kind of war. And I understand it's a new kind of war. And this government will adjust. And this government will call others to join us to make sure this act, these acts, the people who conducted these acts and those who harbor them are held accountable for their actions.
Another role of the President and the First Lady. Here you see consoling the nation and the victims. The President at the Washington Medical Center earlier today visiting some of those burned when that jet crashed into the Pentagon across the Potomac River in suburban Washington, Northern Virginia. The President saying he was deeply moved by his appearance there. I spoke to the First Lady about it afterwards. This part of the public effort by the First Family to console the victims and their families, also to try to rally the nation. Again, though, I want to talk about breaking news here. The President this afternoon will meet once again with his national security team. We are told by senior administration sources discussion of potential military responses on the agenda for that session as the administration ponders its options. One of the key questions was what kind of cooperation will it receive from nations around the world, not just predictable U.S. allies, but others as well. And again, we have just received a statement from the President of Pakistan, General Musharraf, saying Pakistan is providing all of its resources in an effort, and this part is significant, coordinated with the United States to locate and punish those involved in these horrific acts. Obviously, the administration will put that promise to the tests in the hours and days ahead, but perhaps a potentially significant development as the investigation continues and the Bush administration seeks some help overseas. Aaron?
John, a couple of questions in a couple of different areas. We heard Andrea Koppel reported earlier that the Secretary of State Powell, came closer than any administration official had so far to pointing the finger at Osama bin Laden. Are you hearing in the White House that name thrown around with more certainty than before, not just one of many, but as the one?
Certainly the prime suspect. The administration still saying it is not 100% certain that Mr. bin Laden is the architect of these strikes, but we are hearing from senior administration officials here at the White House, from the intelligence community, and from members of Congress who have been briefed by key administration officials. In the words of one senior official I spoke to, quote, everything points to the bin Laden network, the sophistication of this attack, some of the people involved, the conversations intercepted afterwards by U.S. intelligence and law enforcement officials. So certainly from the very beginning, they have put Mr. bin Laden at the top of the list, and we are told increasingly, as we now move into day 2 after these horrific strikes, that the evidence increasingly points to Mr. bin Laden. And of course, what the government asking for now is the cooperation of the Taliban in Afghanistan, the Pakistani government as well, to help deliver information not only on Mr. bin Laden's whereabouts, but we're told Secretary Powell asked the Pakistani government for any information it had about his recent operations. So certainly he is suspect number 1 as the investigation continues and as the President discusses more and more with his top military advisors potential responses.
What kind of leverage do we have with the government of Pakistan, John?
Well, not much, although there's been a rocky. Secretary Powell himself called it an up-and-down relationship. Pakistan, of course, for a long time in the Cold War was an ally of the United States, while India was aligned with the Soviet bloc. This administration, as the Clinton administration did in its closing days, has made a point of trying to build closer ties with India, the largest democracy in the world, and that, of course, causes tension with Pakistan. So it has been a hot and cold relationship. At times, President Musharraf has said things the United States has taken quite favorably. He, of course, took power in a military coup that the United States did not look upon favorably. So as Secretary Powell said today, it has been a hot and cold relationship, but certainly contacts and cooperation with the Pakistani government right now could prove very significant in this investigation and in any potential military operation the United States might decide to go forward with.
And John, let me change gears here quite a bit. A couple of hours ago, you sat down with the First Lady and talked about what has happened, what its impact was on her husband, on the country. What jumped out at you as you think about that interview now a couple hours later?
Well, this a woman who wanted to carve out a very different role as the First Lady, Aaron, than Hillary Rodham Clinton had. Laura Bush by no means wanted to be a spokesman on major policy issues, with the one exception of literacy and education just beginning to emerge there. Now, of course, she finds herself